This is the all-new Community Connection. I'm your host, Jade Harrell, keeping you connected to our community. World Stroke Day is Saturday, October 29th, and the American Heart Association is teaming up with the Microsoft Store to provide education around stroke risk factors and warning signs. At the event, they're going to bring technology in to help you take care of your health. I am joined today by Communications Director Madelyn Alexander. Good day to you, Madelyn.
Good day to you. How are you?
I am fantastic. You are still doing great work in this area and with this organization. So glad to have you back on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Sure. So there's been a worldwide awareness about stroke, huh? How big is the problem?
Well, worldwide stroke is the number 2 killer. In the United States, it's dropped some, but it is still a global problem. And World Stroke Day is a day for us to raise awareness about stroke. And the biggest message is that stroke is largely preventable.
Okay. Preventable as well as treatable?
As well as treatable,
awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So then let's help our listeners understand what happens with stroke with a little cursory education.
Okay, the first thing is to recognize the warning signs for stroke. And those warning signs, a quick and easy way to remember those are to remember the acronym FAST, F-A-S-T. F is for face, as in face drooping. A is in arm. Is there weakness in your arm? S is for speech difficulty. Are they slurring? And T is for time, which is the most important element. And that is that, time is of the essence. And if you think that someone is having a stroke, call 911 immediately and let them know, I think this person is having a stroke. Over the past couple of weeks, just in my own personal life, I've picked up and heard conversations of people saying that, such and such, thought they were having a stroke, and, I got over to the house and drove them to the ER, or, we thought they were having a stroke, and, they laid down and, took some medicine and laid down and woke up and was fine. And that is probably the number one thing that I want to get across to your audience, is that time is of the essence when you think that someone is having a stroke. In the best case scenario is that they would go through the emergency channels, call 911, and find out that person didn't have a stroke. I think that people think about, if it's not an emergency, I don't want to do it. But I think that, calling 911 also will get you to the appropriate hospital to treat a stroke. So that's where that treatable piece comes in.
What's giving people the impression that they're having a stroke? Now, you talked about the warning signs, but what is it that kicks off that alert in the first place?
Well, usually a lot of times it's, sometimes it's that immediate headache, or it's the face drooping, or that numbness. They're having difficulty speaking. What we're finding is that, for FAST, people know the F, the A, and the S. It's the T piece and of the time is where, there seems to be a breakdown. So I think that, again, it's, and a lot of it too, with the African American community, for one, we're twice as likely to have a stroke than our white counterparts. But I think that we're also probably least likely to call 911 in these emergency situations. But I think the biggest thing is to let them know that this is a health emergency. And this is the time that you call 911 to get to the hospital immediately.
Sure. Well, I think we have come to a place of making discomfort normal. And if something's wrong, we poo-poo it away as if it's just another thing that's come up. But what we really want to emphasize is just act fast. I think that's where that acronym will help you with that T.
Yeah.
T means fast. Do something quickly, and that's what we want to emphasize, right?
Yes.
So with it being treatable, what are some things that we can do to prevent and treat stroke?
Well, one of the things to prevent stroke is blood pressure is a huge risk factor for stroke. Fibrillation is also a huge risk factor. But, you think about lifestyle, diet, exercise, things that we kind of hear, but all of those things are increased risk for stroke. So when we think about, preventing stroke, it's if you've been, diagnosed with high blood pressure, making sure that you're compliant with your medication, that you are, exercising, that you are eating correctly, that you're reducing your sodium. Again, all things that we hear these things, but it's applying them to our lives. One of the things about stroke is devastatingly debilitating. There are people that you may survive a stroke, but when you think about your quality of life, and it is still the number one disability, in the United States. So, we may have people that you may survive your stroke, but your quality of life may never be the same. So that's the part that even a small delay can affect whether the difference between, recovery and disability.
Right.
There are drugs and there are things that they can do that if you get to the hospital in that window and go to the correct hospital, again, which is where that 911 system is, being activated is key and critical, that you can reverse those symptoms with, of a stroke, and with some rehab and medications, you can recover and get back to your life.
What is the thing that happens that is accelerated or escalated over time that then does need to be reversed? Is this a neurological impact?
Yes.
What goes on once a stroke is in play?
And I'm not a physician. The thing about stroke is the best way it has been described to me is stroke is a brain attack. We think about heart attack. A stroke is a brain attack, and strokes usually occur either it's a bleeding stroke or there's a blockage. And that's probably the extent of my medical knowledge on stroke. But, there are a lot of things that can happen. So we want to make sure, again, talking about prevention. And, again, if you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, making sure that you're taking your medication and being compliant. So leading up on World Stroke Day, the event that we're having with Microsoft is kind of getting people on that path. There are a lot of tools and a lot of things that we do on our fabulous smartphones now. But, from Facebook to playing games. But one of the things that you can do is you can actually use some of those tools to take charge of your health. So we've teamed up with the Microsoft Store, and we'll be doing blood pressure screenings that day. And the American Heart Association has an online tool called Check Change Control, where you can put your blood pressure, you sign up for this program, and it's a self-monitoring tool. So you can track your own blood pressure. And within that tool, it will tell you if you're high, if it's too high, seek medical attention, or if, you need to get reminders on checking your blood pressure. If it's elevated, sending you, reminders or tips to keep it under control. So, the biggest thing, again, making sure that people understand their risk for stroke, the warning signs, and how to prevent it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm glad about this event. What prompted the idea? How did you guys conceptualize this?
Well, we worked with the Microsoft Store on a number of other events. They have brought out their game system to a couple of our events. Again, those kinds of games, the Xbox and games like the Wii, like the interaction of those games and getting people, physically active. I mean, the beauty of some of those games aren't that they allow kids or people to just sit in front of the TV, that they do allow them to move. So we've kind of worked with them in the past on some of those kinds of things, volunteers for events. So we just in conversation and looking at some of the things that we had going on and things that we were, some initiatives that we wanted to promote. And with this check change control tool, we thought it would be the perfect way to kind of marry the two. And what better day than on World Stroke Day? So that's kind of how it all came about, and we're very excited. We hope that the community comes and shows out for this event. Free blood pressure screenings. You know, sometimes people don't have access to monitor their blood pressure, but we'll have free screenings there, as well as some healthy snacks. We'll be doing some giveaways, and for everyone who signs up for that their blood pressure monitoring program will be entered into a drawing to win a Fitbit.
Oh, cool.
Another way to keep people engaged and active.
Yes, absolutely. And the idea behind that, though, is the fact that can change their outcome. So it is certainly a win-win. Now, Madeline, you've been at this a while. I know that it's important and it's your mission for awareness to happen. What change have you seen over time, how this effort makes a difference?
Well, I think that, awareness is one thing. And I was actually having this conversation with someone else, and I think that we've done a great job with awareness. I think that the next thing is moving people to action, and that takes an extra step. Again, I've talked to people, and I hear that people they've recognized that their loved one has possibly had a stroke, or they recognize what those symptoms are. The next step is, getting them to call 911. People know and they get the message about, they need to control their blood pressures or that they need to eat right. Like, people are getting the message, and they are aware of what the problem is. But I think the next step that we need is to move people to action. And it's lifestyle change, and that is the hardest piece. One of the things that at the American Heart Association that we're working toward, not even on a national level, on a state level, on a local level, is making the healthy choice the default choice. When the easy choice is healthy, people will choose healthy. When you have, when it's easy to get and less expensive to get healthy meals and healthy choices, people will do that. It's the difference between buying, a $3 bottle of water or, a 69-cent 32-ounce soda. A lot of times for people, it is the economics of it. So one of the things that we are really working toward is, trying to make that healthy choice the default choice and make that the easy choice for people, that people don't have to make, hard decisions when it comes to, breaking the bank to eat healthy, and showing them some ways to live that way.
And we'll get all of that, not only in this event, but in your ongoing efforts. So go ahead and send out the invitation for everyone to come out and where they can plug in, get connected, and stay aware and alert through the information you're able to share.
Yes, we are inviting everyone out to come out on World Stroke Day, Saturday, October 29th, at the Microsoft store in the Galleria. The event is from 1 to 3 p.m. We do have an RSVP site. That site is microsoftstore.com/St. Louis, and you can RSVP for the event. Or if you just happen to be in the mall that day, the Microsoft store is on the second floor in the St. Louis Galleria. Stop by. Again, we'll have healthy snacks. We'll have blood pressure screenings, lots of games, giveaways, prizes, lots of fun.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Madelyn Alexander, the Communications Director with the American Heart Association. We appreciate your continued effort and help for our community.
Thank you so much for having me, Jade.
My pleasure. All right, that's it for this week. If you have questions or comments or have something you'd like to include in the community calendar, you can leave a message on our message box at 314-333-8369, 314-333-8369. And for more information about our show or any of our guests, you can visit us online and listen to the podcast at Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. And search Community Connection with Jade Harrell. You all be blessed, do blessed, and take care.